Hello and welcome to the Harry Man Show, episode 47. Today I have a guest and it's a great honor. His name is Joe Morris. He's one of the hardest working studio musicians I've ever met or seen. He currently has 8 #1 hits and is a music director at Crash, Conservative Recording and Music. And he currently plays with Esteban. How you doing, Joe?
Good, Dustin. How are you, man?
Good. Yeah, like I was saying, you are definitely always working. I mean, like you always have something to record. You're definitely one of the hardest working guys I've seen in the industry.
I've been lucky.
Yeah. So I want to talk about how long you've been with Esteban now.
I've been with Esteban for 27 years.
Jesus. And Esteban's a hell of a musician too. And how long has he been playing?
I think I started playing with him when he was playing at the Hyatt in Scottsdale.
Really?
And he had been there probably like 4 or 5 years before I got in the band. He was just playing solo with a piano player.
Oh, nice. Is he Arizona based too as well?
He was. He used to live actually right down from the conservatory recording.
Oh.
When we played, we were at the Hyatt for like 8 years, but it grew into. I actually met Esteban on a studio session. The keyboard player, Robert Brock, is the director at the conservatory and asked me if I'd be interested in playing on this guy's record, and I said sure, and that's how I ended up with the gig. I played on his album called Percussion, and then he asked me if I wanted to tour, and I actually said no.
Oh, really? Really? What, was it just the type of music, or you just didn't think it was going to go that long?
No, I totally liked him, and I totally dug the music, but at that moment in time, I had promised my wife I would stay home.
Oh, gotcha.
I was concentrating on trying to become a studio drummer and not be on the road so much.
Mm-hmm.
But then he just put it to me in terms that most drummers wouldn't turn it. He was like, if it's a matter of money, just tell me what you want. And so I was road with him like a week after that.
Damn. So going into that style, was that a style you're acquainted with already, or did you kind of have to like branch out in that style, salsa kind of dance music?
No, it was right up my alley because I studied a lot of Latin music, and he does a lot of Latin, and like tumbals and congos and stuff like that. And then later on, if you came to see Esteban in concert, you wouldn't see us play the cheese that we played on the Home Shopping Network. It's a whole different vibe.
Yeah, I've been geeking out on your Red Rock concert in the last couple of days. That's an awesome show. I recommend checking that out.
That was a fun time. That was the only time in my career where they actually told me that I had to stop sound checking.
Oh, why is that?
Because they have a natural reverb at Red Rock.
Oh yeah, I've heard.
My drums sounded amazing on stage, just acoustically behind them. So I just wanted to play them.
Oh, I got you. They told you to stop playing. I got you.
Yeah. So I was just there it was like 4 hours before the show, and I'm just on stage working out because I was like, this is all. I know. And I even asked the monitor guy, said, what kind of effects do you have on my drums? And he was like, nothing, dude.
And that's definitely a bucket list thing. Multiple musicians and drummers. I would love to play there once in my lifetime. That's a hell of an accomplishment there.
It was on my bucket list, so I was pretty excited that day.
Nice. And then growing up, I know you referenced that you had an uncle that was a drummer. Is he the one that taught you, or are you self-taught?
No, I took lessons from a bunch of different people, actually. I'm originally from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Oh, nice. My
uncle Bob Shiner was a drummer in New York. Oh. So he played jazz at a lot of clubs around New York. He was a well-known drummer. Like if Buddy Rich or Gene Krupa was in town, they'd go to my Uncle Bob.
Oh, wow.
But we're talking like 1965.
Gotcha.
5 years old. But long story short, my mom used to take me to the clubs to see my uncle play, and that's what gave me the fever. He didn't teach me. He helped me a lot, and he definitely taught me some stuff, but he wasn't my primary drum teacher when I first got started was a guy by the name of Charlie Christensen, who is in his late 80s and was actually my Uncle Bob's drum teacher.
Really? So was your uncle a jazz drummer, or was he more of your style? Yeah. So he played.
He was
I'm sorry.
He was a jazz drummer.
Oh, nice. And yeah, if he's running with Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich, that's yeah, that's definitely he must have been an extraordinary drummer.
He was a great drummer, and he ended up playing in like the what would you call it? I guess no better word for it. It was kind of like a loungy band at a club.
Okay.
Because he had to make money.
Yeah, it was pretty much a 5-day week kind of thing.
Yeah, and he would play there, and that was his gig. So my mom would always take me to see him, and I was like, man, I just instantly was like, I want to do this.
And I could tell from your influences. You probably liked Peter Garibaldi mainly, and I can hear a lot of Steve Gadd in your playing as well too.
I love Steve Gadd.
Yeah, I can see it in your setup and the way you play, the precision. Was he a big influence for you growing up as well?
Gadd, yeah. The first time I heard Gadd was a buddy of mine turned me onto a Chick Corea record called Friends,
mm-hmm.
and he put it on, and I just remember sitting there going, no way, man. One guy.
Yeah.
It changed my whole life. And then I ended up becoming friends with Steve.
Yeah, he's also Arizona based as well here too.
Yeah. And then the cool thing about him is in the middle of the pandemic, probably around April or May,
mm-hmm.
when I think most of us professional drummers were just kind of sitting around
mm-hmm.
thinking, what the hell am I going to do?
Yeah, it's scary.
He called me just to see how I was doing and tell me, well, we were going to get through this and it was going to be okay. And if I needed anything, to give him a buzz.
Oh, wow.
Picked up my whole vibe because I was pretty down because, I mean, the music industry just got trashed in like a week.
Well, it still is. You know what I mean? I think we all have high hopes for late this year to kind of get back out there, but, who knows at this point?
Most years I do 175 live dates a year.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
For the last 25 years. Last year I did 5.
Nice.
And this year so far I've done none.
Oh, wow. So, due to the obvious, before all this happened, was Esteban really, busy on that kind of home front? Was he always constantly touring at his age?
Yeah, constantly.
And what's your circuit you guys run through? Do you keep it national or do you guys go international?
Oh, no, we went to Europe, Portugal. We went all over the place.
Oh, wow. And then was there any certain countries that you guys kind of vied with a lot better and they kind of blew you away in shock?
Portugal. That's
really?
why I remember. Yeah, I loved it there.
Oh, wow. And do you ever feel like you get homesick on the road or you kind of miss the road more so?
Right. You mean right now? Or
when everything's normal is what I meant.
What I usually find is when I go out for the first couple weeks, mm-hmm. I'll kind of get homesick because I have 3 kids and a wife too, and back then my kids were small, so
yeah,
I didn't want to miss softball games and soccer games and anything they had going on, so that would bum me out. But it's a fine line because you have to support your family. So in order to do that as a pro player, you're going to miss some stuff. It's just inevitable.
Yeah.
But after I'd be homesick for the first couple weeks, and then I'd get into the grind of it, and I would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I would just become what we'd call a road dog, and we would just be hitting it until it was over. But I always talk to my family when I'm on the road, like every day.
Yeah, with technology, it's a little easier to FaceTime and all that stuff, so it's more in person now, a little bit more as well.
It was. When I first started traveling, I literally used to take, I had a picture of my wife, a picture of my 3 kids, and I'd set them out in the hotel room, and I figured after a couple months that just wasn't a great idea.
Oh, yeah. Finding the telephone, pay cards and all that stuff.
I just stopped doing that. But I would get in the grind, and they got used to it from so many years of me doing it, and I kind of got used to it, and that's just the way it was if we wanted to survive.
Yeah. And I wanted to back up a little bit. Were there any other main influences of you growing up in your younger years?
Oh, Buddy Rich.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I probably saw Buddy Rich 20 times. My mom was awesome, man. She used to take me to live shows when I wasn't old enough to get in.
Oh, nice.
So when I was young, I saw Gene Krupa play with Duke Ellington at a ballroom in Atlantic City. She took me to see the Temptations a couple times. Buddy Rich we went and saw a couple times. Let me think. I don't want to leave anybody out. Oh, David Garibaldi. I listen to David all the time.
Yeah. And it sounds like you have very supportive parents. Were they musicians as well?
No, it's my mom. My mom was a single parent. I'm an only child,
Oh, gotcha.
so she just loved music. She knew I wanted to play the drums, so she started taking me to see as many shows. And it wasn't like she was doing it for me. She liked to go too.
Yeah, it's a win-win there.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then, do you remember the first kit that you got growing up?
oh, absolutely. Well, how old was I? My thing when we were younger back then is you got a pad and a pair of sticks,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then that's all you had. So I had a pad. I actually practiced on my grandfather's. He used to sell produce, so I used to practice on his bushel basket.
That's a good. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then I got moved up to a practice pad, and then I started taking lessons and still stayed on the pad for like a year. And I think when I was 6 years old, I got my first kit. It was a Slingerland white pearl kit that my mom bought used out of the paper for $100.
Oh, nice.
And it was, it was a 4-piece with a ride, a set of hats, a couple crashes, a 10-inch rack, and a 16-inch rack.
Mm-hmm. And did you did you play
for
on that for quite a while? Or did you just?
Oh yeah.
Did you
I beat the shit out of that kid.
And then did you do the typical thing where you joined rock bands through high school as well?
I did not.
Really?
I was in district band and district orchestra, and I was really into jazz band.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did join rock bands later when I was like a teenager. I started gigging, like making money when I was 12.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
So my grandfather would actually put my drums in his huge suburban station wagon and drive me to gigs, drop me off, and then come back and pick me up when the gig was over because I wasn't able to drive.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And then as growing up, a lot of drummers struggle with note reading. Was that something you just kind of jumped in, or was it forced upon you a little bit?
Well, I had to read because I was taking lessons.
Yeah. Well, a lot of drummers avoid that growing up, but it sounds like you kind of just latched onto it right away.
The weird part about reading in my career is when I was young, I would have to read a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's funny you mentioned, joining rock bands. And then when I was like, almost a teenager, I started playing in rock bands and they didn't have charts.
No.
So, those guys probably even read music. So then I started learning songs by memory. And for a long period of my career, man, probably from the time I was 14 years old until the time I was 24, no one ever laid a chart in front of me.
Wow.
Chart reading suffered tremendously.
Yeah, it's like it's if you don't read for 10 years, yeah, it's gonna hurt.
And so when I tried to get it back, I just couldn't do it. And so I became a memorizer.
Mm-hmm.
I could just memorize anything, and I went off instincts. I mean, I could read parts, like certain parts that I had to play.
Mm-hmm.
But to this day, I couldn't sit behind a drum set and read a chart down.
Oh, wow.
I just memorize stuff now.
And how big is Esteban's catalog at this current point? That's why I asked that.
It's endless. I've recorded probably 30 albums with him.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize there's that many.
And it doesn't matter because he doesn't have a book. Like most gigs that you're going into, other tours that I did, you knew, these are the 15 songs we're going to play tonight, and this is the encore.
Nice.
And it's like that every night. With Steven, I call him Steven, which Esteban is Spanish for Steven, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's different every night.
That's pretty cool.
And he can tell us what songs he's going to play before the gig.
Huh. And does he play live with the click, or is that just kind of by ear?
No, he just plays by ear.
That's pretty cool. I think a lot of bands are missing out these days.
On Esteban gigs, the tempo in one song will change 3 to 4 times.
Oh wow, so it's by feel most of the time.
Yeah, he'll just turn around. If he starts pumping the neck of that guitar, I just know he wants it 5 BPMs faster. If we start a song at 100, we'll end the song at $120.
Oh, that's pretty cool. The excitement and then feeling the crowd kind of builds it up too.
Well, other drummers always used to say, "How do you do that? There's no pocket." And I'm like, "There's a pocket. It just lasts for 30 seconds."
Yeah.
And then we move on, and you got to watch them. Trust me, when I was on the gig for the first year, I was shitting myself, going, "What's wrong with this guy?"
Yeah.
What do you mean you get faster? I've been trained my whole career not to do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, when I noticed, obviously, when Esteban has percussionists, were you playing percussion at all, or was that just something you kind of didn't do as much?
I actually started the gig playing congas.
Really?
Yeah, when I first started to play with Esteban at the Hyatt, it was me, Devin Bridgewater on trumpet, Brock on keyboards, a drum machine, and me playing a percussion rig.
Oh, wow.
So I had timbales and congas and bongos, and I would play along to that, which, believe it or not, was a lot of fun.
Oh, really? Now, do you favor the kit or the percussion side of it more?
Well, then he wanted to get a bass player, and then, we were building a band back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, if you're going to get a bass player, I got to start playing drums. Because then, we'll have a backbeat. And so I just put together a hybrid kit where I'd play percussion and drums at the same time.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But now I was responsible for the tempo.
Yeah, you're the whole backbone at that point.
He had no idea how that worked because he's a solo artist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so was he just a solo performer up to that point, and you're the one, like you just said, that's the first time the band was put together with him?
I got every guy that was in that band for him.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He would say, Joey, I need a bass player. Joey, let's get a trumpet player. Let's get a percussionist. I'm like, all right, man, we're going to have a band.
Yeah, you're definitely the pioneer of it.
I definitely helped and found the right musicians for the gig, yeah.
Without skipping over anything else, but I want to mention that you're the music director at Crash. How did that gig come about as well?
There was an engineer, Scott Novak, actually, that I met on another session. I was actually, I was at a studio in Phoenix. It's not here anymore. It was called the Sound Lab. They had a board that they had. They had a great board in there. Anyway, it was a really nice studio, and I was in there recording for somebody else, and an engineer that was on the session actually worked at the conservatory and asked me if I'd be interested in doing drum clinics. And so then I started going to the conservatory and doing drum clinics, and it just snowballed from there.
Now, with the obvious playing the drum clinic, are you also teaching the procedures of recording and miking and that stuff as well?
I do not. I don't teach anything. All I do is I hire all the musicians that the students record.
Oh, gotcha. All right. They're backwards. And then have you seen the students grow in the time being there?
Oh, yeah. Daryl Thorpe is one of our graduates. He just did the last Foo Fighters album.
Really? He's a keyboard player, right?
I don't know if Daryl plays keys or not. He's an engineer.
Oh, gotcha. That's pretty big.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that from the conservatory that have gone on to do some pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, and you said that you are recording 200 and something days of the year is what you were mentioning?
Yeah, I'm there at least, plus outside sessions, 250 days a year.
Now, obviously due to COVID, are you doing a lot more home stuff, or are you still kind of trucking up there and doing it there?
I'm still at the conservatory because they have a hybrid model now. So now my schedule actually doubled there.
Oh, wow.
Because the class schedule would normally run one class in the morning from 10 to 2, break for lunch, come back at 3, and then there'd be another class from 3 to 7 with 12 people in each class. But they can't do that anymore because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So they have to have only 4 people in a class. So now there's 4 sessions a day.
Nice.
So I still do that. So that doubled. And when COVID hit, was right after my 60th birthday, a week after. It's going to be coming up on a year here, next week.
Yeah, April, I believe.
I went through 2 weeks of literally shitting myself because plan A, B, C, and D for me were gone.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
One day. I mean, I played with Esteban, that was gone. The conservatory was closed. Oh. I played with different DJs. Those gigs, every gig I had was history. So I had to start thinking, Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd record at home.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
I have a soundproof office in my house since we've lived in here, just for the times I've practiced.
Mm-hmm.
But to be totally honest with you, 15 years before COVID hit, I never had a drum set set up at my house.
Oh, wow. Is that because you were just so busy playing that you kind of just didn't want to bring it home?
When I got home, the last thing I wanted to do was play the drums.
For a guy like you, that makes sense.
Be a drum. I just wanted to be dad when I got home.
Yeah, that totally makes sense for a guy as busy as you are. So there's no shame in that for sure.
No, I would dive into my kids' stuff and hang out with my wife and hang out with my family and let my body rest, because I was only home probably for a couple weeks before I left again.
Oh, wow.
And I'd be working at the conservatory when I wasn't on the road. So it wasn't like I wasn't playing,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't practice. That's the bottom line. For like 15 years, I did not work. I mean, I would practice at the conservatory on lunch breaks and stuff, but no recording at home.
Nice.
So when COVID hit, that was my plan A. And I'll give you the short version. I already had a Beyerdynamic mic endorsement, so I had Beyerdynamic microphones sitting in a backpack for probably like 2 years that I didn't use. I had everything I needed to record at home except an audio interface, mic cables, and mic stands.
Oh, wow.
So my investment was like under $500.
Oh, so that's not too bad.
No, I ended up getting a endorsement from Focusrite, so they sent me a what is it? No, I don't know why I can't think of that. Oh, an 81i20.
Oh, nice.
Interface that I learned how to use, and then from working at the school, I learned how to use Logic and just got that stuff together. And man, I should have did it years ago, because I couldn't believe the response I got when people found out I could record from home.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something I wish I would have started a long time ago. But I was going to ask you, in the advancements to recording and software, do you see that as a downhill thing, or is it helping people in the long run in the process of recording?
Oh, I think it's definitely uphill.
Oh, cool.
I mean, if I could figure it out, anybody can do it.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the old school guys kind of complain about things like Pro Tools and Logic because it's taking away from the art. But in my opinion, I only see it helping.
Well, if you're a drummer, I prefer the sound of analog drums to tape still over Pro Tools or Logic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But let me put it this way. This will sum it up for you quick. I went to Steve Vai's studio to cut a record with Greg Cox. They had a beautiful API board in there,
mm-hmm.
and they put me in the room, and the engineer, who I'm still really good friends with, Neil Citron, recorded me to Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I was outraged. And I came out and I was like, I can't believe you're not recording me to tape. And then he played me back what he had, and it sounded amazing.
Yeah. You can definitely go in there and clean anything up or make anything perfect.
And it's even better if you can play, because the sounds that I'm getting at home are really good.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll know if they suck or not. And then, but I also have 20 engineers that I can call who will probably cringe when they hear this. You know, I'll call an engineer like Tony Nunez, who's a great engineer that works at the school, in the middle of the night and go, dude, this popped up on Logic, and I don't know what the fuck it means.
Yeah, I definitely experienced that myself too, or a little bit of a panic.
Yeah, and they'll help me, and they'll just laugh because they think it's funny.
Now, since we're speaking about gear, are you currently playing Lubbock drums right now?
I am. And I've been a Lubbock endorser for probably 5 or 6 years.
Oh, nice. That's my go-to as well. I love them. And are you sticking with the classic maple?
Well, I have to, because my setup's odd. I don't think it is, but I'm finding out as I get older it is. My tom configuration is I go 8, 10, 15.
Oh, 15?
So I'll use a 16 floor sometimes too. So my first rack's an 8, which throws everything off.
Yes.
I never realized. Because at Ludwig, I have to stick with classic maple because that's the only wood they make an 8 in.
Oh, really?
They say they can't bend the wood that small for mahogany, and they can't bend them that small for oak.
Oh, wow.
and I'm not even sure about birch. So the 8-inch tom for me is becoming a problem, but I'm hoping for that. Actually, it's funny you brought it up because I ordered some new Evans UV heads to try on my Ludwigs next week. I can get my 8 to come alive a little bit.
Oh, nice. I haven't tried those myself yet, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, I have tried them because they're on a kit at the school that Dowell Davis, another drummer in town, is an Evans guy, and he put them on that kit and told me to try them, and I was like, whoa. Sounds real good, man. Are
you playing a 20 or a 22-inch kick?
22.
Nice. Yeah, so you still have a lot of thud when I watched your live videos. So, yeah. And the snare-wise, are you playing a 13 or a 14?
Snare drum?
Yeah.
I used to be always 13, but in the last 5 years, I went back to 14s.
And why is that? Just to get a fatter sound?
Yeah. I found out for as much snare drum work that I do, I wanted to have a little bit more space. Mm-hmm. And it takes a while to get used to sizes for me because, you know, I had a 13 sitting in front of me probably for 10 years, and then I put a 14 in front of me. It looked like a swimming pool.
Yeah. Well, you got to think it kind of like blocks your leg axis too, is a little bit, that 1 inch.
And it also moves your first rack farther away from you.
Yes. And that's why you see people with a snare rash on their kids when they're not doing it right.
Hey, I have those.
That's just a little pet peeve, a drummer thing I always see. I'm like, oh, you know what I mean?
Every time I have is notched on the left side, I guarantee it.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing. I just think it's funny when I see that.
Yeah, it's just like something that after a while you just don't give a shit anymore. Just slam up there and go, it's nicked already. It's not going to matter.
Yeah. And then are you currently playing Zildjian Symbols right now?
I am very excited. I've only been with Zildjian probably 2 months.
Oh, wow. So was that a new endeavor with just something that you were playing Mino before that?
Of course, sir.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. When I was in my 20s.
Oh. Now, what line are you using? Are you using the Ks, I believe I saw?
I got a Constantinople ride. I'm using a Session K crash, a K Sweet crash, a K Dark crash. I have an A Splash. I have a 16-inch Fast A crash. This is what I have so far, and I have a turbine stack, which were only limited, and I'm lucky I got one because they're not making them anymore.
How does that sound? Is that more of a trashy or kind of a quick sound?
No, it's trashy.
Oh, nice. And then I'm sorry, go ahead.
A 19-inch on the bottom with a 17 over it, cut like a turbine.
Really?
I have them up like a right set of hi-hats.
Yeah, I saw that. And then you're playing the spiral too. I've never had experience with playing that. How's that working for you?
What's that? Did you say?
I saw you were playing the spiral as well. How's that? Yeah. Is that a cool dynamic to use as well?
One of my favorite cymbals.
Oh wow! And every angle is a different sound with that one, right?
Yeah, and you can do rolls on it, like to get an orchestral swell in, and it sounds really good when you record it.
Oh wow, that's pretty.
But I can see now the only drawback to my spiral cymbal is moving it.
Oh, I can see that.
It's like moving Linky.
Yeah.
You can use it as a stack too, but getting it in a cymbal bag is definitely a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I can see that. And yeah. So you said you're using a Constantinople right? Is it a 22 or a 20-inch?
A 20.
Oh, nice. So you're keeping it traditional there.
Yeah, I really like that cymbal. I couldn't say good enough things about Zildjian cymbals. They're so consistent. They feel so good. It's so different for me since I played Minos for 30 years. Mm-hmm. But I enjoy these cymbals a lot better.
Yeah, that's all I kind of play now I've ever played. So, and Constantinople rides are hard to come by, to be honest with you.
Well, I didn't think so. They're on the Zildjian website.
No, I mean as far as like going to like a Guitar Center and music store, you rarely see one in a brick and mortar store.
I actually played one of the few concerts I did last year was at the MIM in Phoenix, Arizona, the Musical Instrument Museum Theater.
Oh, that's a nice place.
I did, we play there every year, but we did 2 socially distanced concerts in November, and I always use their kit, and I always use their cymbals because I don't have to carry mine. And they had a Constantinople ride, a Renaissance ride there at 22, so I used it that night. So I actually got to try it before I bought it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and those are extraordinary rides. I like to get one myself one of these days.
I actually go up on the Zildjian website next week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my rep hit me up yesterday and said, I just want you to know your stuff's going up on the Zildjian website next week. And I kind of got really excited about that, just thinking about all the legends I was going to be on a website with.
Yeah, that's a big deal, man.
Like Gad and Axone and Dennis Chambers and people like that. To me, it's like, that's really cool. And they've been really nice to me. Like, I'm even surprised that I was surprised I got a Zildjian endorsement in the first place.
Oh no, I definitely think you deserve it. As you know, I wholeheartedly say that.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. But I wasn't sure if they would take me.
They will.
Obviously, I have a huge ego about what I do. So many drummers that are so good, but they've treated me really great, as opposed to some of the other companies. And I'm not going to pinpoint companies and bash people, but I'm 61, so some endorsement companies, as you get older, you just get pushed to the side because the younger cats are coming in.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, how could I say, being more of, you know, like, thanks for your service kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, Zildjian is the longest running company in America. You know that?
Yeah.
They started 1623, I believe. So as far as tradition, they definitely do honor their legends as they go.
They do. What we call like the elder statesmen of drumming, like your Gads. I mean, Gad's like 75.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, as you get older, some of these other companies just pretty much say, fuck it. We don't even want, you know, you're not important to us anymore.
That's a bummer.
And if I start feeling any sort of disrespect, I leave.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's why I made the switch. I even literally got an email from a company over the pandemic that says, well, we're thinking about changing your deal due to the lack of activity.
What? What, doesn't make any sense?
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh, that's BS, man.
Yeah, I mean, and in June I went back to the conservatory, so I was like, well, I'm probably the only one of the drummers on your roster that actually working again.
Yeah, probably.
So, weird times.
So, when you go to tour, what's your kind of go-to prep? Is that something you kind of crunch down and learn all the songs, or I know someone like Esteban, I know you guys kind of improv a little bit more, but is it more of a physical or a mental prep for a longer tour?
Both. Well, I always say to try, like, even before I talked to you this morning, I tracked 2 tunes and went through my workout. I have a workout. It's actually the Kenny Arnoff power workout.
Oh, that's pretty good, I heard.
Oh, it's great. There's Power Workout 1 and Power Workout 2. And if you want to stay in drumming shape and you just don't know what to practice, you just sit down and do that. It's like playing a concert in 15 minutes.
Really? I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's one for double bass, and I believe the Power Workout 1 is for single bass.
Oh, nice.
But you have to have 2 rides. You'll ride lefty and ride righty.
Is it just like a process of rudiments, or is it just kind of with a metronome?
If you can do it with a metronome, which I would recommend, but it's basically 3 different ostinatos that you play every note value over, and you alternate between riding righty and riding lefty. So you play on the ones, the E's, the ands, and the ahs for one, and then they double, they triple, then you play 3s against 4s, then you play 5 against 4, and then you switch ostinatos and do it again.
Oh, really? I'm definitely going to check that out tonight.
It's awesome.
And then I wanted to ask you, what got you into DJing? That's something you kind of did on the side for fun, or was it incorporated into your drumming as well?
Well, I played drums for a lot of DJs, believe it or not, over a couple of years at festivals. And so I started getting known as, you know, a cat that could lay a groove with DJs because I could keep time without a click. But to me, it still is a click because it's sequenced music, so it's not that hard. And then a lot of the younger kids are really into DJs and EDM and dubstep and stuff like that at the conservatory, and we try to stay current. And I couldn't get a DJ to come do a live clinic with me on a consistent basis, so I learned how to DJ myself, and now I just DJ myself and play the drums at the same time.
Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. And then, before I let you go here, what would be the best place to reach out to you for session work or, check out your videos and recordings?
Well, I have my website. That's joemorris.net.
Okay.
I have a YouTube channel. And mostly the one that I stay the most current on is my Instagram, which is Joe Morris Drums.
Yeah, and you have some really good videos in there, too. I've been kind of, like I said, geeking out for the last couple of days here.
I've been trying to pick up the followers on my Instagram. Like I told you before we started the podcast, I'm really not like a social media guy.
Mm-hmm.
But since, everything's changed, I'm trying to build up my Instagram. And if I get enough people on there, I'm going to start giving out like free lessons and do some gear giveaways and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'd be happy to help you. I'll promote as much as I can for you, too.
It's yet to be seen. I think I have 1,500 and some many viewers, so I don't have that many on Instagram, but I'm working on it. I'm going to give it a shot, and if it doesn't work out, then I'm just not going to care anymore.
Yeah, I think what we were mentioning, social media can be either a blessing or like a fire, like gasoline. You can go places or you burn everything down with it.
Yeah, it's an outlet, and I started putting up videos more than ever during the last year because just to keep myself busy and challenged.
Yeah, and you're an established drummer, so you're not really, building. You're, just kind of keeping current of anything.
No, I don't play. I just play what I want, and I'll throw it up there. It gives me something to do.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying them. Please keep doing it. You're a fantastic player.
Thanks, man. You're probably one of the few people.
I'm sorry. What?
Probably one of the few people.
No, there's quite a few that have respect for you. Don't downplay yourself. You're great.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
All right, and then I know this is kind of an obvious, kind of dumb question, but when do you think you're going to get back out there with Esteban, in your opinion?
Man, I hope soon, bro.
Yeah.
I got a text last week, and it just said, "I miss you, bro."
Oh, that sucks. I mean, that sucks, but that's kind of a bummer.
I'm hoping, February, March, April, hoping by the summer.
Yeah, that's kind of everyone's go-to. I think everyone's kind of thinking late 2021.
But it's going to take a lot of planning because there's still, for me, I usually, with Esteban, we play from 1,000 to 2,000 seat theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And once in a while, we'll do a club date.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he'll definitely not do the club dates. And I think it's going to be really hard to do the theaters because they're not going to let 1,000 people in a theater.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So what people don't realize, like the last gig I did, for an example, is a 500-seat theater, and they let 80 people in. That was the max that could come in.
Oh, wow, that's a loss.
Well, he's losing massive amounts of money on ticket sales.
Yeah.
Because he can only have so many people in, and the venue still wants their full boat. So I literally had to take a cut and pay just to do the gig.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's okay. I mean, that's the time. So I don't know how easy it is for artists that fill 2,000-seat theaters to get back and play and make it worth their while to even do the gig.
Another problem I'm seeing, I think everyone's going to surge back up to the openings too. You know what I mean? I could see that being a problem where clubs can only do so much or venues. It's going to be kind of a hassle to kind of even get started again. So I could see the more established acts like you guys kind of waiting a little bit longer to kind of get back on track.
Yeah, it's going to be a slow comeback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's really, really an unknown. No one really has an answer, and no one really knows. I mean, outdoor venues would be the best thing to do.
Yeah, and the thing is, you really don't want to do it unless you can do the full show the right way. You know what I mean? So it's almost kind of better just to wait it out. And that, like you said, who knows how long that will be.
I did those 2 socially distanced concerts that I was talking about at the Min with the 80 people.
Uh-huh.
And it's really strange.
Yeah, I could see that.
When you look out in the crowd, first of all, you have to make sure you keep your mind straight. Because the first time I looked out after the first tune, because there was just a smattering of applause. 80 people doesn't sound like 500.
Yeah. So it kind of messes your head.
Yeah, I looked out in the audience, and I literally thought to myself, I'm like, oh, my God, I'm in a band that can't sell out a fucking venue again. It's like being in my 20s, where you're playing the theater and your whole family's there and everybody's there, and you still only have 100 people.
Wow, yeah, that's kind of a psychic thing.
Sold out shows, so I'm not going to say I wish I didn't do it. I'm happy that I have done it just because it gave me some closure on stage. Because when I walked off stage after those 2 nights, I was like, okay, soak this in because I don't know when I'm going to be doing this again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm guessing probably about another year before everything's like normal. That makes sense.
And a lot of musicians have been affected. I mean, like,
well, not just musicians, stage crews, and venues and all that stuff.
And people have found other work, and some people are just really having a hard time, and it's just I think it's gonna be more difficult than people think. And I sad to say, but I think the music business is gonna be one of the last things to come back.
Yeah, I mean, I went and saw a friend playing a dive band. It's not, I mean, dive bar. It's not, and it was just kind of a hassle just to watch a local band play. There's regulations. You can't leave a table, and I was like, man, this is kind of a bummer. It kind of takes a lot of it out of it.
Yeah, it's like trying to go to dinner with my wife.
Yeah, it's just better to wait and get it done the right way.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't know if that's his mindset or not, but if I know Steven, he's only going to be able to wait so long, and we're going to do a gig because he's going to burst, and we have to play.
Yeah, yeah.
So I hope somebody will figure it out, but that's management. I just wait for the phone to ring.
Yeah. Well, Joe, it was a great honor to have you on the show, and I feel like I could have talked to you for another 3 or 4 hours, but I know you're a busy guy. I don't want to keep you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. This is fun. No problem.
Yeah, and there's a million other questions I want to ask you about your history and all that, but maybe we'll do this next time in another episode.
I don't wear boxers. I wear briefs. Didn't know that, so you can avoid groin injuries.
Yeah, but it's like I said, if you guys get a chance, check out Joe's YouTube. And what was your Instagram? And did you?
My Instagram is Joe Morris Drums.
And then what was your website's name again?
My website is joemorris.net.
Nice, easy. That's easy to remember there. So Joe, I just want to say thank you one more time, and until next time.
Oh, thanks for having me, Dustin. Very much appreciated, man.
All right, I'll talk to you soon here.
All right, thank you.